What's good? What's good? I'm Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, aka Triple P, aka the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and more. Today we're going to cover, I guess it'll cover sports and politics. We're going to react to Stephen A. Smith on the Jesse Waters Show. But before we do that, let's give you a word from one of our sponsors.
Looking for music marketing and promotion? Then look no further than Promo Palace LLC, your one-stop shop for all music promotion services. Services include Spotify playlist pitching, YouTube video promotion, record pool promotion, blog placements, radio airplay promotion, SoundCloud promotion, and much more. With over 2,000 customers and over 10 years of experience in online promotion, Promo Palace LLC is a company you can trust. For more info, please go to promopalace.biz. See you there.
You heard the beautiful lady. You need online marketing promotions for your music, product, brand, or service. Check us out, promopalace.biz. One-stop shop. We also got the new little apparel t-shirts on there. Check it out. Go to promopalace.biz and click on merchandise. Okay, let's get into it. Stephen A. Smith on Jesse Waters.
No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith podcast, and he joins me now. So you're in charge. We're going to make you president. What is the Stephen A. Smith platform to solve the crime and homelessness crisis?
Well, first of all, I did not know you dropped this on me. I certainly didn't know we were going to be talking about this, but I'm game for it. Thank you so much for having me. There is no question that a lot of these issues need to be addressed. There is no question that we should be against an extremely progressive agenda that's calling for people.
I want to stop for a second. If we was on ESPN right now, he would not be saying that. Extremely progressive agenda.
To be released from prison on multiple occasions, that's ignoring a lot of crime that's taking place in the streets. There is no doubt about that. Where I don't vibe with you, Jesse Waters, who I respect, is that when you talk about politicians themselves being innocent, they're not innocent in all of this. A matter of fact, in some instances, the division that exists and has existed for so long has contributed to kind of some of the nonsense that's been taking place in the streets. It doesn't excuse it, doesn't mean it doesn't have to be addressed.
Where do we disagree? I feel like we're in agreement on everything.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, you said earlier in your great monologue how the politicians themselves were like innocent for crying out loud.
I'm not saying they're innocent.
That.
I didn't say that. I said they're acting like they're the victims when you call them out for not doing their job.
Well, some of them. Well, actually, a lot of them deserve the criticism that they're getting. There is no doubt about that. But I would definitely be big time when it comes to addressing crime in the streets.
Okay, good.
The subway system in New York City, you're damn right I got a problem with that. Something needs to be. I'm a native of New York City.
Yeah.
I took the F and the E train all the time.
New York,
I wouldn't want
New York
my family
City.
traveling on the subway right now.
Same with me, not
what
anymore.
I'm saying.
Do you take the subway anymore? I feel like you don't.
Well, I don't.
You don't.
I don't. But that's only because when you get popular and stuff like that, you try to avoid crowds.
You're too popular to take the subway.
I was in L.A. The homelessness that exists there, I got an issue with that. Certainly, when you look at Gavin Newsom and some of the policies that he's put forth, you're talking about a lot of different things that need to be addressed. I don't agree with everything, and I'm not about to pretend that I do.
Okay, I want to play some sound because a lot of people have been talking badly about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're with her or against her, but this is what your boy Bill Maher said about her possibly getting dumped by Joe.
Shouts out to Bill Maher.
It's very hard to take the nomination away from the president,
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
a sitting
Yeah.
president. And what I could see is replacing the vice president, because she's just not very popular
Hasn't panned
anywhere,
out.
and it didn't seem to work out. And I don't know. That's been done before on a ticket. I just think she's a bad politician, and I think she's a very bright person.
She's bad. Do you think she's
I
bad?
agree and disagree.
I'm not going to go that far. I will say this to you. I think we got to remember the words that he said. He said she wasn't a great politician. He also acknowledged that she's very smart and he believes she's capable, but she's just not doing a great job as a politician. I, believe it or not, I think that she's a highly intelligent woman that unfortunately doesn't have an opportunity to showcase her intelligence.
Really? She's got the second biggest job in the country.
Well,
she hasn't had the opportunity.
Can I address that?
Please.
when you work for an administration,
Yeah.
and you've alluded to other people running the administration,
Yes.
and you have all of these people literally telling you, trying to tell you at the very least, what to do, that's problematic.
So
When
you're saying it's Joe
Wow, it's funny that that Stephen A. Smith would bring that up on ESPN. A guy who's on ESPN where like they're literally trying to tell people what to do and what to say. They're literally trying to have a biased liberal agenda. But I think that's why it's a good thing that Stephen A. Smith is coming out with a new show where he talks politics. And I think once he does, I think Stephen A. Smith is going to skyrocket. But let's keep it moving.
literally telling you, trying to tell you at the very least, what to do, that's problematic.
So
When
you're saying it's Joe Biden's fault she's a bad vice president?
No. Ultimately, it comes down to her. I can't absolve her from accountability. You asked for that seat. You're in that seat. I think she needs to do a better job. There's no question about it. Because a lot of times I'm looking at Kamala Harris and I'm just saying, you are a highly intelligent and accomplished woman. Will you tell us what you truly, truly think instead of giggling all the daggone time every time
giggles a
somebody
lot.
asks you a question? She can bring a lot if she had, as far as I'm concerned, I believe if she had the freedom to truly, truly speak her mind and be as raw and as authentic as she wants to be. I think she's been encouraged not to. I think as a result, be trying to disguise what you truly feel, you get caught. If she ain't Jesse Waters, she ain't Stephen A. Smith, she ain't gonna just say what the hell she feels. She's gonna say what they want her to parrot. And as a result of that.
Okay, what does that mean? If she ain't Stephen A. Smith, she ain't Jesse Waters, she don't say what she feel. She's not authentic. She's not authentic. She's like any other puppet politician, just putting on an act to appease and please.
That she finds herself, I think, looking worse than she actually is on many occasions.
Am I your favorite Fox News host?
No, believe it or not. You're a close second to Sean Hannity. I have to admit it. I can't deny it. I've known the guy for years. I don't agree with either of y'all at least 50% of the time.
Well,
but
you
y'all
agree
do
with
make
me
good points.
100% on this show.
Well, listen, I will say this. Y'all do make a lot of. Listen, I am not a Republican. I'm not a conservative, but I am a common sense individual. And when you're right, you're right.
And that's the key right there. What did Stephen A. Smith say? What I say this was earlier? Paul Pickett Podcast, a.k.a. Triple P, a.k.a. the Common Sense Podcast. He's a common sense individual. And when somebody's speaking common sense, they're speaking common sense. You might not like it, but common sense is common sense. And guess what common sense is? Facts over feelings. That's the key here, what he said. I'm a common sense individual.
I'm not a conservative, but I am a common sense individual. And when you're right, you're right. And I'm not going to
right,
deny
you're
that
right.
some of the things that y'all say are on point. I think y'all let some of the Republicans off the hook sometimes.
Who am I letting off the hook? Who am I letting
I
off
didn't
the
say
hook?
you did that today. That's a lengthier conversation,
Okay,
Jesse.
we
That's
don't
a
have
lengthier
time for that.
conversation.
We have time to plug your new podcast. What's
Yes.
that going to be about?
Well, listen, I've always wanted to expand beyond the parameters of sports and get into politics, news, pop culture, entertainment, social issues, what have you. This Wednesday, I'm interviewing Chris Cuomo. Friday, I'm interviewing Sean Hannity.
Wow.
And I just want my podcast to be, of course, I'm going to give you my monologue, my opening monologue like you do. I'm going to give you closing comments. But when it comes to interviews, I want my podcast to be a place where both sides of the aisle know they can come and they can have their views expressed and heard without somebody trying to stab them in the back or anything like that. So I'm
And that's something I got to stop right there too on. That's something you can't get on liberal mainstream media. Is let's run back what he just said. Why don't you run back what he
I'm
just
gonna give you my monologue, my opening monologue like you do. I'm gonna give you closing comments. But when it comes to interviews, I want my podcast to be a place where both sides of the aisle know they can come and they can have their views expressed and heard without somebody trying to stab them in the back or anything.
And that's the problem with the liberal mainstream media. I would argue that Fox will let anybody come on from the left and debate them, and they're willing to listen and probably have their minds changed if they present facts over feelings. But like you look at shows like The View and all these liberal mainstream shows, they're not willing to allow people to come on and express their views and tell their views without attacking them, without actually listening to what they had to say and possibly taking it to heart and possibly being willing to have your mind changed on things. Because we're not always, no one's right 100% of the time.
And they can have their views expressed and heard without somebody trying to stab them in the back or anything like that.
All
so
right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Stephen A., too famous to ride the subway in New York? I wouldn't say that.
By the way, you're coming on too. I'm going to get you on
All
my
right.
podcast as well.
We'll work it out. Thank you very much. How
Thank
about
you.
them Cowboys, Stephen
Oh,
A.?
stop it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click.
All right, so what was really important about what Stephen A. just said about his first two guests is Chris Cuomo, who's a liberal media guy, and Sean Hannity, who's a conservative media guy. See, this is how things are supposed to go. But the liberals not trying to have that. They're not willing to sit down and have a decent human being of a conversation. They're just going to attack you automatically, make assumptions and judgments about people's characters without knowing anything about them, just based off if they're Republicans or what their political views are, So, yes, Stephen A. Smith it's crazy because Stephen A. Smith and Charlamagne tha God is two very powerful voices in the black media world. And they're very loud and boisterous when they want to be. Stephen A. Smith a lot more. But I've noticed both of these cats have really leaned towards agreeing with a lot of conservatives of late, conservative views. And, and I think it just comes from a place of what Stephen A. Smith said. They're common sense individuals. And they're just really looking at which side is preaching more common sense than the other. And I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I would like to say I'm probably a conservative libertarian, because I definitely have some conservative views because I watch Greg Foreman, the Black Conservative Perspective, and I agree with pretty much everything that comes out of his mouth almost. Probably like 98, 99% of the stuff he says, I totally agree with. And partially could be that he's from North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. He's from Charlotte. I'm from Fayetteville, otherwise known as Vietnam. But I think it just really comes from a place of common sense, just common knowledge. And that's it. Once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. Paul Pickett Podcast. And I'm out.